Hello friends, welcome to today's video. Welcome to my little book corner here. And today I'm going to talk about the 6 books that I read in August, as well as sharing the few books that I have on my TBR for September. So let's get into today's video. So like I said, in August I read 6 books, and all of them I either had from the library or on Kindle, so I will share them up here with you. And then we'll move on to the TBR that I'm hoping to try TBR for September. The first book that I read was The Heiress, and it's by the author Rachel Hawkins, and this was a first time read for me from anything by this author, and it's kind of like a thriller mystery, I would say, but I really enjoyed it. I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that it had kind of like this atmospheric, it was in the countryside, there's a mystery about a family, and it kind of gave me, I really liked it because it went from like past timeline historical to present, which I tend to enjoy those in books. I also felt that it wasn't very long of a read, so it was like a quick one to get through. And then also I felt that the chapters were pretty short, which I feel like for thrillers is really fun and kind of keeps you engaged and to keep reading. It talks about this woman named Ruby, and she was this heiress, which is the book is called, but she's this heiress. She's very, very wealthy, and when she passes away, she's very wealthy, and when she passes away, she obviously leaves like a lot of money, so she's not only the wealthiest, but she's also kind of notorious for her past. And so as you're reading the book, you're finding out more about this sordid past that she had and these mysteries. And there's just like, yeah, I don't want to give it away again because it's a thriller, kind of go into things, but I did really enjoy it. I thought it was interesting, and I think if you like kind of the countryside atmosphere and like the mansion kind of further away, that kind of situation, and like old, it almost kind of made me think of like old Hollywood in a way. I think you would enjoy this one. This next book was also something that I have never, by an author that I have never read before, and it is called One Moment, and it is by Becky Hunter. And this one I would say it's kind of like a women's literary fiction or just fiction, but I didn't know what to expect or really what to think, but the description kind of caught my eye, and it's essentially about this woman, and it's about these 2 friends, Evie and Scarlett. And Scarlett is a fashion designer, is supposed to be having exciting things happen. On that day that she has something exciting happening, she actually ends up dying, and this is not giving it away, but then it also follows the life of essentially people left behind from her death, but especially her best friend Evie. And what's also interesting is that Scarlett, even though she's passed, is also like in this I don't know if it's like realm or what her being is, but she can see like everyone else, like she can see what they're going through. She can like monitor them in a way, or kind of watch them essentially, and kind of see like how they're dealing with her passing, and like her parents, and obviously her best friend. Yeah, so it's just very interesting. I don't know, I ended up rating it 4 out of 5. I don't even really know how to describe it. I think it's an interesting commentary, especially on women's friendship, and there's elements that I really enjoyed. I just think it's kind of different than what I've normally read, and I don't know, I think try it out if you think you would like. I don't even know how to really describe it, but I think try it out and see. But it's not like, it's not super like action packed or even a mystery or anything. It's just kind of character development and like commentary, I think, on like women's friendship, like I said. So it was an interesting read. It's definitely something different than what I have been reading lately, so it was an interesting experience. Then the next book that I read was The Paradise Problem, and it is by Christina Lauren, and I think this book came out early in the year, and I finally got around to reading it. And they mainly write romances, and so I've enjoyed some other books. Some have been misses, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I ended up rating this one 4 out of 5 as well. I thought it was a really fun romance. It's definitely character driven, which I enjoy about their books, but it follows the story of Anna, who's kind of this free spirit. She's an artist or aspiring artist, and essentially she ended up marrying this guy, Wes. I think, wait, Wes, is that what it is? West, sorry, West, when they were in college, and it was basically just a marriage of like convenience because they needed housing. And so they did that in college, and then they got divorced and went on their ways. Well, it turns out that years down the road that they are actually not divorced, and so he is an heir to like this super rich, I don't know if it's billionaire or millionaire family, and so he has somewhere that he needs to be. And the reason it's paradise is because it's this island and a family member's getting married. He needs to be there, and so he essentially, like, they all think he's still married, so he has to bring his wife, which is Anna. And so she ends up agreeing. It's kind of like a business agreement because she's in need of money for certain things, so it's basically a deal. So then they go in this agreement, and essentially they're kind of, it's forced proximity. They're on this island. I think the setting is really fun and just kind of different. Again, what I enjoy by Christina Lauren is their character development, and so I really like seeing just kind of how the interactions with Wes and his family, between kind of the struggle that he faces there, and just obviously the romance developing between him and Anna. I like her sass and their banter and things like that. This book does have some spice in it, so just be aware. Overall, I thought it was great. I thought it was a fun read. I definitely enjoyed it more than, I think it was a Wilder, whatever. I think that was the book that came out with last year. I did not even finish that one. I didn't like it. It was just weird. But this one was definitely a pleasant surprise, and I enjoyed this one a lot better. So I would say if you're a fan of contemporary romances, especially anything Christina Lauren have written before, then I would recommend checking this one out and see how you feel about it. Then this next book I found it on Kindle Unlimited, and it's actually a book of poetry, which I'm not normally a reader of poetry a lot, but I wanted to try it out because it's called Wilted Flowers, and I'll read it up here. So it's Navigating Motherhood with Mother Wound. And I will just say this: if you are someone that is struggling, that you've had a difficult relationship, particularly obviously like this book says, like with your mother, I don't want to go too much into it, but if you are someone that has struggled with that in the past, I would just say consider reading this book. It's a very quick read. It's poems, but I would feel like if you are someone, again, if you are someone that has a history of just, I think, a challenging relationship with your mother, or just kind of a mother figure in your life, I definitely found elements of this book like very healing in a way, because it put into words things that I have felt or experienced in my life. And I think that's the thing with a good book, right? It can almost be like a healing moment. This book also does come with like a little journal element, like in between the different chapters. It's almost kind of like a self-help book in a way, that if you want to reflect on serious things, and that's the other thing, it does deal with kind of serious concepts. Like, I would say it's not like a light read, because it definitely talks about like trauma and different abuses and things that I myself have not experienced all of those that the author talks about, but just so you're aware, like, it's not like a light-hearted poetry fun read. Like, there is also a journal element that I think I didn't really use that. I didn't want to do that at the time. I just wanted to read the poetry itself, but that is in there. And I think especially if you buy the print copy, you could definitely like take notes and write in there, and it could be part of the poetry process. I just enjoyed reading the poetry. I feel like it's hard for me to rate poetry. I'm not a poetry expert in any shape or form. I ended up rating it 4 stars, just because, again, a lot of those things I enjoyed. I feel like it was healing and wonderful in the way to relate to a certain concept. But I think I didn't really, for me personally, I didn't really want that element of the journaling and things like that. I did feel also, and again, maybe this is how it is with poetry and I just don't know, I did feel like it kind of like bounced around a lot, which I think there was somewhat of a flow to the poetry book, but for me, I felt like it was like focused on one thing and then kind of jumped to another. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more in each section. Maybe that's just a personal preference, but I still think it was an interesting read, and 4 out of 5. And this is on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have that, you know, it's included with KU, so definitely check it out. And this next book, I heard it as a recommendation, I think, from someone here on YouTube, and it is also on Kindle Unlimited, and this is a thriller mystery, and it's called Behind Her Eyes. And this one, oh my gosh, I have to say that this is one that at the end, the very last chapter, if you have read this, maybe let me know, I was like, what? Like, I was freaking out, and I definitely did not see that coming, and it was just like a crazy like cliffhanger at the, like, I don't want to say cliffhanger, but like what the heck, you know, like I was very much I don't know, it was like disturbing and all fun at the same time. Like, you know how thrillers are, like it's almost like I love the shock of it, but then I was also disturbed by it, and I was like, no! But it follows the story of these two women, and I don't want to give it away, obviously go into a thriller bind, but it follows the woman of these two women, Adele, and follows Louise and Adele, and they're kind of very different women. Louise is a single mom. She's trying to just hold down her job. She went through a divorce, and Adele is married to this doctor. They're very wealthy. She's like a very beautiful woman, affluent, and their paths kind of cross. But as you're finding out more about each woman, there's also like little mysteries. That's kind of like the overall mystery for the book that takes place in the past. I will say it is like a psychological thriller, so it kind of has, I don't want to give anything away, but it does have like psychological elements. Like, it's not just like a regular thriller, I guess. So like, just keep that in mind, that it is have elements of like psychological things, which if you find that interesting. But I just thought it was very different from anything I've really read. I can't say that I loved it. I can't say that I hated it. I think it was just a fun read. It kept me engaged. Like I said, the ending was kind of crazy. I was not expecting, like the very last chapter, I was like, what? So I don't know. Again, go into it, feel, I don't know, decide what you think, and see if you can figure it out, or if you will be shocked by the ending just like I was. Then the last book that I read in August was called Memory Lane, and this was a first-time author to me, Becky Wade, and I believe she does like Christian romance fiction books, and she is on KU, so I was curious. I kind of discovered her on KU. I decided to try it out, and so it's a contemporary romance. I ended up rating it a 3 out of 5. It's a small town romance, which I enjoyed that aspect, but I did feel like it was just, there was a lot of like tropes going on. There's like a mystery going on. There's a romance going on. There's this man who was like, he was found in a lake and she saved his life. And then there's whole elements of these other characters that there's these stories going on. So I don't know, it wasn't horrible, right? I didn't like hate it, and I did end up reading it, and I was kind of interested in being in the world and the characters, but I just felt like it wasn't deep enough because we had all these little like plots going on. So I'm curious to read the second book because it focuses on the brother of the male character, and honestly I kind of feel like I would connect more with the male character, and I think it's like FBI and a little bit more mystery element. So I want to try the second one, and maybe again a different series by her, because I think maybe there's elements that I would enjoy from her series, but I just don't know how I, felt about this one. It was a fun time, but I also didn't feel like I was like flying through it. So I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. So having said that, and sharing those with you, but I also wanted to share with you, again, if you guys have been here before, you know that I am a mood reader. So will I stick to my TBR? I don't know. Even if I can get through a few, I will be grateful. So I will share here. This is my TBR for September. Let's see what happens. But the first one that I have is this book. I will finish this, you guys. I will finish this. So help me. I am about almost halfway through, and I have been trying to read this book since last year, I think, and I just have not, and I want to try to read more classics. I've been wanting to finish this, so I'm hoping to finish this one. It's also just a really cool cover, so I'm hoping that I'll read this one, especially for like fall time, and just finish it up and figure out my thoughts on it. Then this next book is Taming 7, and this is part of the Tolman Boys of Tolman. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I love it. I have read the other one, so I definitely want to finish this one. This is the final book in the series, and just to be done, which makes me a little bit sad. Sorry, I had to take a wee bit of a break because my camera memory card got full. So anyway, back to my TBR for September. Like I said, this is the last book in this series. It is one of my favorite series of all time, and it's crazy because I don't know really how to explain it, but it's very character driven. I think if you like Magnolia Parks, which I love that series, you probably would like this one as well. But I've had friends who didn't like Magnolia and they still like this. It's essentially following a group of friends through like high school and a little bit after, and just through their lives. But they're like the same people group. But this book focuses on one of the characters is coupled that are in the other books, like the best friend of some of the other characters, and I have been wanting to read his book for so long and just find out more about him and like why he is the way he is. And I'm hoping this will be good. I feel like it's going to be bittersweet just because it's the ending of this series, but I really have been actually itching to go back and read the first and second book and annotate them, actually, because I read them on Kindle when I discovered this series, and I really love it. So I'm going to hopefully get to this. Then this next one I found in a library. I started a little bit already, but it is Love at First Book, and it just seemed really cute. I've never read anything by this author, and I think she's done a few other like cute romances, and I think she also writes cozy mysteries, and it just seemed really adorable. Like all the things. It's a librarian. She goes to an Irish village, and there's like her favorite novelist lives there, and then there's like a prickly like guy who works at the store. Like all those things sounds wonderful. A dream of mine would be to go to Ireland, and I feel like anything about books and bookstores, I feel like if you're a fellow reader, you understand. It just seemed really cute and adorable, and it just seemed kind of perfect for fall for some reason to me. And so I've read a couple chapters. I'm liking it so far. It's just cute and adorable, and I'm really enjoying it. I want to read more, so hopefully I'll get to this one as well. This next one is one that I also, I will finish this, you guys, because there's not that much left. I only really have, I think, like maybe 20 or 30 pages, and it is The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. But the thing with C.S. Lewis is he does like Christian theology books, and I really love his stuff, but I feel like if you've read anything by him, you know that it can be intense. And so I feel like for me, when I read, like I've been annotating this copy, and it is amazing. Like there's so many good nuggets and things, but it takes me time. Like I can't just like lay down and just like quick read through it. Like my brain is just not at that level. So even though it's like 20-30 pages, but I just really love all his books and his take on different elements of Christianity, and he's just the way he does things, because he writes them in like fantasy elements, because he also wrote Narnia. And so it's interesting because instead of just being like, here's the stuff about Jesus, or you know, whatever the topic is in Christianity, he will actually like make it a story. And in this one, people are like on this bus ride, and so it kind of describes these different elements of things that they're going through on this bus ride, and like these different worlds, while still giving like critique and analogies and different theological aspects. So I'm really liking this one, and so hopefully I will finish up this one. Then this one is a library pickup for me, and like I mentioned, the wrap up, I read The Heiress by this author. I really enjoyed it, so I decided to try it out. I found this at the library. It's called The Villa, and I've read like I think 2 chapters so far, but it's giving me that very similar, like almost like just very atmospheric situation, because it takes place in the present as well as the past. And in the past, it's at this villa. Even though it's kind of supposed to be summery, to me it kind of seems more atmospheric for fall, because it takes place during the summertime, but it's at this like mansion in Italy, and there's a writer. It's like dreary, and then there's like a murder that happens, so a mystery, and like it seemed very fallish to me, even though it's supposed to be in the summer. But again, there's a story and a murder mystery in the past that somehow I think coincides with the present story of these 2 friends that decide to go on this summer to Italy, which takes their vacation now is at that same villa where these other things happened in the past. So I'm curious to see like what happens. But I've really been liking the writing of this author. I'll see how the second book goes, because I think if I have a good experience, I'd like to check out her other books as well, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Then another one that I would hope maybe I can get to in September also, because this is a library book, is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I know that this was popular a few months ago, especially when it came out. I'm curious to try it just because I feel like some people are very like, they love Taylor Jenkins Reid's like 5-6 stars, everything she's ever read, like people are like obsessed with her. And I don't really fit in that camp. I've read 2 books by her. Like one was, I read Malibu Rising. It was okay. And then I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and that was also like, I ended up rating it 4, but I wasn't, again, like die-hard obsessed like with everything she reads like some people are. So I'm gonna give it a try again and try Carrie Soto's Back. Again, I've heard so many good things. people just rave about this book, and it is about this tennis player, which I know Carrie said was mentioned in, is it Malibu Rising? I can't remember now. She's mentioned in that world, and so this is her own book, and apparently she's this like professional tennis player, and she's coming back out of retirement to try to like beat her like the new record and things like that. So I don't know, I'm not really into tennis much or like know much about it, even though I did play tennis in high school, but you know, like I'm not like into the professional world, or I don't follow it now, things like that. But I'm curious to see how I feel about this book. And then one of the last books that I have is, well, no, I have a couple more, but this is the last print one, is that I want to finish up Ruthless Vows. This, again, I made this in a way a little bit of a sneak review. So I'm on page 280. So I've read a lot of it already, but it has been almost a year. I think since last December when this came out, and I have not finished it. So that should probably tell you something. I know maybe you guys have heard already a lot of reviews about this. I love the first book. Binge it. It was 5 stars. Amazing masterpiece. I love it. And I was so excited for this to come out. And so far, it is not feeling the same for me, unfortunately. I'm having a hard time. And obviously by the fact that I also stopped and have not read it for 9 months. Maybe I should say something. I don't know. I feel bad saying that because the writing is beautiful, but for some reason I'm just not connecting to it and the characters, which I did not think would happen. But again, there's a little bit still left, so I want to finally just finish this book before, like, it's been almost a year since I started it. So I want to finish it up and, I don't know, figure out my thoughts on this and the whole duology and give you guys my thoughts in the next video. And then there are a couple, I always, you know, again, I'm a mood reader, so who knows, but I have KU and I wanted to read, there's a couple books that I wanted to add into the TBR because I hope I can get to them and finish them. So I'll let you know what they are. We'll see if I finish them. One of them, I came very close to finishing, but I'm still not done, in August, and it is The Heat of the Everflame. And it's like impromptu hair change. My hair scrunchie just broke. But it is called The Heat of the Everflame, and I mentioned that this is a series, a fantasy romance series that I'm really liking. And this book is a chunker. It's like over 1,000 pages. So I've been trying to get through it and finish it. I'm really close, but hopefully in September I will finish it up and let you guys know my thoughts on it. But I'm liking it so far. And then the other book that I wanted to pick up, there's a few that I have, but I mentioned in my ebook haul last month, but the one book that I also kind of saw little blurbs on Instagram and I was like, sure, and it is The Best Thing by Mariana Zapata, and people are just saying like the epilogue is crazy, or like I think it's a slow burn as well. I don't know much about it. I just saw the Instagram and I was convinced. I was like, sure. And I've read I think one Mariana Zapata book. It wasn't horrible. Is it from Luca with Love? I can't remember now, but it was good, but I don't think I was like as obsessed as other people were. It was good, but I wanted to try this one because again, people were just saying the ending and the epilogue was crazy, so I wanted to try it out and see, and that's on KU. So that's hopefully going to be like my Kindle book for the month. So that is everything for September. We shall see how I do, right? Who knows? Ambitious, lofty goals. Maybe it will happen. But as always, thank you all so much for watching and for supporting my channel. And comment down below what is on your TBR or what did you read in August. And I'm so excited for fall to be starting. And yeah, I just wish you all the best reading. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.